Wow.
Wow, this is some really deep stuff.
I don't know what just happened, but something happened inside of me. Something snapped. Something.
I wasn't expecting that
either. Sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. It's beautiful.
Monster is like really small, but it had to become that to stop me.
And then the hurt child became present when you mentioned it.
And I didn't realize this until now.
There were things that I didn't remember until now.
Funny. I haven't seen that before.
It feels like I'm the monster. I'm kind of seeing images of things. Of a world where they can exist.
This clarity brings all kinds of answers.
It's clear. She hugged me and then went back to her place, I guess, in my heart. Oh, it wants to come out. It wants to bippity boppity boop Cinderella me. She's melted into my chest. It's ooey gooey.
All week been finishing things, cleaning up more, started eating vegetables again last week. And it kind of just started happening.
It's almost like I just finished going through a meditation session.
I feel light. When you hit that first joint, in the morning, and
I actually feel a lot more awake.
I know my audio is probably bad.
Real bad.
It will get better in 5 minutes. Do you want me to call you back? Or do you want to stay on the line?
Your choice. I can understand you, so it's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I got distracted, but I'm trying to show up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Good job.
Are you back in the U.S.?
No, I'm in Vietnam. It's 6:30 in the morning.
Okay.
I've been up for 2 hours and still have a headache that I woke up with this morning, but I predict that our conversation is going to make me feel back to 100%.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sure.
Yeah. Today I'm trying to think about before we record or, get more into it. What I've been thinking about. It's been nice to talk with people on Discord. That's been good.
I'm so glad.
Yeah. It took me a minute to figure it out. And I was definitely just kind of in crisis for a minute, but it was nice to have people that were available in a pinch. And so that was good. And then I talked to Christine a little bit and I went to that meeting on Monday. And yeah, that was also really nice because I felt like I was talking about IFS just with people who also use IFS. And it just kind of reminded me I do have my own framework of reference, and yeah, it was good. It felt kind of empowering in terms of working with this modality.
Yeah.
To speak from that side of it. But yeah, I've been trying to work with how I can use IFS more on my own, and I noticed that I'm using it a lot just in conversations with other people as I try to make sense. That I'll almost be oh, well, there's this part of me that feels this way and that part of me that feels that way.
Yeah, you'll say that out loud to them.
Right. Yeah, I just say it in conversation, and I think it it's helping me in how I process things and how I also give room, I guess, for my multiplicity. So yeah, so that's been really nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I also have been in a job interview process. That's really been kind of intense. And yeah, I had a final interview. It's the third interview that I've had with them. last Thursday. And so I'm really proud of myself for like just showing up and going through this process, even though it's kind of scary because it's like a lot. It's kind of like high risk, high reward kind of gamble. And so, yeah, I just like did my last interview on Thursday, which I had to give like a presentation in like a really intense setting, but it's great because it's exactly the kind of job that I want. It's like a program coordinator for youth. And so I'd be able to do arts programming with youth.
Wow.
Yeah. So I really want it. But I've done pretty much everything I can do. So I'm, knowing that like that might impact sort of what I talk about today or how I feel today. Just like that's fair.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations on that. It does sound really awesome.
Thank you. Yeah.
Art and kiddos.
Yeah. And I'm just like kind of continuing to process my previous relationship. And kind of, exploring like new friendships, but also like just connecting with another person that it happened really like organically. Like I wasn't like looking to try to like get into a partnership. And that's not really, I don't think what's happening. We're like super slow, like, but I am getting to know someone on like those deeper levels. And we are talking like about parts and trying to just, so I guess, because I've been thinking a lot how parts work relates to other people's parts and then how multiple people are, or two people are interacting with their stuff. So those are all things that are like on my mind, but I think I feel ready to like just meditate for a moment and then get into it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How many minutes?
Let's do 2.
Okay. I'll set a timer.
Thank you.
All right. So, got any parts you'd like to get to know better or change your relationship with?
Yeah, I think I'm noticing just right off the bat that I have some anxiety coming up. So that part just feels really present right now.
Okay. Great. Thanks for speaking for it.
Yeah. But also as I was, sitting in that too and thinking about, what I was bringing today, I guess I feel really curious about this energy that I recently tapped into, like with someone else that I feel kind of like that's hard for me to enter into. And I have curiosity about that part. And maybe it's not just that one, but like a few different parts that come up in intimacy and like energetically. And I think I'm feeling like that's something that I'm interested in, like understanding more. And I haven't maybe used parts work on that exact.
Great.
Yeah, on that exact topic.
Okay. Should we check in with the anxiety first?
Yeah, probably.
Just turn towards it. Let it know that it's welcome. See how you're noticing it in your body.
Yeah, when I saw it come up, I was like, oh, right. There's a lot of uncertainty right now. So that makes sense. Yeah. In multiple facets of my life. And also really transitioning today because I was on a trip this weekend and, the job interview and all the things of last week. And
that I was focusing. And so I need to like redirect my focus in this state of a lot of unknowns. So yeah, I'm just validating, I think, that part.
Nice.
Like that makes
Nice.
sense that you're here in this
That's right.
moment.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could try asking what it needs from you.
Mm. Yeah, stuff's definitely coming up like around my relationship with money.
Mm-hmm.
It's not giving me like exact instructions, but it's kind of just like, yeah, I have a lot of projects going on, and I think that it's great. I'm pursuing those, but also this part is like, okay, like, are we gonna solve the big thing right now, or like, can maybe it's just that I need to. I feel like I've been in these like getting really intense and anxious and trying to solve like this problem or like figure out my whole life and how I'm going to make money and my whole career and this whole thing. And then there's this other side of me that can be really avoidant with it. And it's kind of like, yeah, like whatever, we'll do it tomorrow. Like I'm not ready. Like I don't want to be pushing on that right now. It doesn't make me feel good when I have to put myself out there. Like I can take more time and kind of like I think there's some tension between them.
Yeah.
And so I think it produces anxiety that in the moments or the ways that I am not necessarily leading from self most of the time around those topics. So the anxiety is kind of like, are you going to get your shit together?
Yeah. So that's the big thing is get your shit together, make money.
Not even make money, but kind of like get your shit together. Like we gotta sustain ourselves. Like how are we gonna keep ourselves fed and housed and stable and like the things that I always manage to do. But that anxiety is like, can we get a fucking plan together so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel every single week with some like harebrained idea? Like like I'm just like I want the money thing to be like that I have a paycheck consistently, that I'm like can let some of my brain power go into other things that I care about. So and not feel guilty when I'm spending time doing other stuff.
Right.
So yeah, the anxiety is about those things.
Okay. And so it's saying if you had a plan together and if the money and if that was all stable, you could take your mind off of it, then it wouldn't be so anxious or so strong.
Yeah. It wants more certainty. The anxious part is like, this is a lot of uncertainty. And actually, I think the anxious part is like, there's been a lot of uncertainty for a while now. Like maybe, I think it's just kind of maybe almost like this anxious part has been there and I've been kind of like bargaining with it. Like, no, like we're going to push on this thing. We're going to do that. We're going to do this. And right now this anxious part is like, I don't care if the way you make money like makes you look good or is fulfilling or anything. Like, could you just get something in place so we can chill? So that's sort of what I'm hearing, which I kind of knew this part was there.
Yeah. All makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Okay. How does it feel for that part, just speaking for it?
It's good. Yeah. I think I've been hearing it and maybe I don't know how to get space from it, or I think there's a lot of other parts that are, it's engaging with some, sometimes where I think my system gets stressed, sometimes it's like one part really needs to be listened to. And sometimes I'm noticing like, oh, there's just like tension going on internally. And I don't even know all the players, but like there's a lot of tension. And this is like the first player I can like identify.
Yeah.
But there's some like pushy pulley energy between some other parts. So like I think I can validate my anxiety, but
yeah,
I guess there's other yeah, maybe even breaking it up more, because it's like maybe it's even like multiple parts. Maybe that's what's happening. It's like a bunch of parts that are like stressed out.
Yeah. So another thing the anxiety does is kind of brings your attention, waves a flag for there's tension here. We don't have it all figured out internally. And it's okay. You can thank it for caring about that and wanting to make you more aware of that.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes I just want it to go away so bad, but I think, that's another part probably. It's like, get rid of it.
Yeah, get rid of it. Think about this tomorrow.
Yeah. 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 It's not gone right now, but it feels like, it does feel acknowledged.
Right. Yeah. You can let it know that that's our goal, is to flesh out parts and understand where the tension is. So we're on the same page in that regard.
Yeah. I don't know if it's another part, but there's definitely also like another feeling of like that I think I've been like just more aware of lately. That's like, no, we can do this. Like kind of like, I don't think it's self either, because it has like a bit of like it's trying to prove a point, or like it's kind of like, no, like we can do all this crazy shit, and like we're gonna like level up, and we're gonna be the best. Like it's just kind of on this like weird, like it's very egoic, I think, almost.
Yeah.
That there's this other part that's like not wanting to just be like a soft animal that is just like so sweet and, like meets my basic needs and lives in the present moment, which sounds so lovely. But this other part is kind of like, maybe like, yeah, but to do that, I don't know how to explain it. It's like very like,
it's more tolerant of the risk, or leaning into the risk. And
it is. It's more, and it's like, I've been having these dreams lately that where I'm in a different place I used to live, like in the South, in like a different climate. And like, it just like, I'm just there in my dreams. And I'm like, why am I here? But like, I was very like kind of risk taking at the time. Like I had a certain degree of stability that I had created that allowed me to just like, be more risk taking. And I think without committing to a lot of things too, like just very exploratory. And I think that part wants to really like be known and be heard, and is like really like, I am letting that part take over a lot right now, because it feels like, there's some kind of shift in my system in the past few months where it's really like coming out. But then the anxious part is like, whoa there. Like, this is a lot. What's the actual plan? Like,
right.
Yeah.
Because you're exploring the new job, you're exploring a new relationship, you're exploring using IFS in conversations, and this anxious part wants to know the plan to make sure that you're fed and housed and stable.
Yes. And then talking also about like parts in relationship to another. Like I feel like in my previous relationship, like I was sort of outsourcing like some parts or some balance to my system, where it was like this other person really enjoyed like consistency and certainty and like rigidity, and they really like, like there was so much structure in my life because of that person. Like, what are we going to eat today? Like, even just simply feeding myself, since I'm no longer in connection with this person, is like I have to come up with that like out my ass, and I'm like not eating on a consistent schedule, and I've had to be like, okay, and like do it myself, and I'm doing it now. But it's like there's a lot of ways where like there was so much consistency, and then of course losing a job at the same time didn't help. So it's like these big things that were really like keeping me in this really like routine. Like I had really found this routine that I think is good for me.
Yes.
But then this other part now that's more rebellious and like kind of just wants to fuck around and like drain, some of my money and invest in like projects that I like don't. And maybe I'm like, how am I assessing the risk in this? Oh, whatever, I'm doing it. Like, and is almost fine with the consequences. Like this part is like coming out more now, and I'm just not as used to managing it because it was a little bit tucked away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
We can work with any of them.
Yeah. Other parts, I feel like just sometimes the intellect is like really strong.
Yeah.
I felt that coming up. But just a lot of analyzing, and that happens like when I'm stressed. So it feels like related to the anxious part. And I've noticed that before in our sessions where like then I start really overthinking things, and then I'm like, so it's like this constellation of parts that get stressed out when I am not stable, like in like the basic, like me resourcing myself and even just having a schedule and consistency, like then this area of parts gets like stressed.
Yeah. Is that analyzing mostly like externally, like figure this stuff out outside, or is it more trying to do the analyzing internally?
Well, that's at first I was doing a shit ton of analyzing internally. And then I sort of was working with that part to be like, maybe not so much inside. Yeah. And also I just think I struck kind of a deal with that part where I was like, we're going to kill ourselves if we keep like doing this. Like I can't lead from the analyzing part. So like, I feel like that part's here, and I'm in like a new deal with that part where it's like, okay, we know we could overthink the shit out of this, and we're going to try not to. And like, I'm hearing your feedback. But also like, they're just words. Like they're not, they're just, it's just really intellectual and wordy. And so I can be like, actually, that's not the ultimate truth. What's real is like how I'm feeling in this moment. Thank you for your input. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like also weirdly kind of strong, even with all of this going on. And I think when I brought up at the beginning, like this part, like I tapped into this part really like more recently where I'm feeling like reminding myself I can hold like really like grounded, like it also has to do with queerness. So like thinking about like holding more masculine energy and ways that I sometimes like don't allow myself to do that. And like, I think my relationship with that part is like very, can be very complicated. Because sometimes how I've seen that, like expressed in other people, has been really like hurtful to me, basically. So Yeah. So people who are really like in that part a lot of the time, or those kind of constellation of parts that we think of as really masculine, like I've had a lot of like negative experiences with those people.
Yeah.
And with men specifically. And so like as a queer person who is very much feminized in the world, I think sometimes it's really hard for me to like embody those parts and like not be afraid of them. Like be like, yeah, I can be a little bit angry. I can be a little bit serious. I don't have to like, you know, like be ditzy just to like connect with people. Like I can actually be like solid. And then I think sometimes that like solidity and like dropped in, like chill, like feeling, like I can have like a lot of things that like invalidate me from getting there. And I guess this is maybe the part I want to change my relationship to, because I notice this part like come back to me recently. And I'm like, whoa, this is like the part that feels like threatened when I like can't make money, or this is like a way I sabotage this part when I like am not adequately like resourcing myself or taking care of myself. Then this part feels like super like inaccessible, or just like not like thought of, or
and so this part is is that masculine part.
Yeah. I'm trying to think if there's another name I can give it.
Yeah, we can get to know it and
Yeah,
let it kind of describe itself.
Yeah, there's kind of like a it feels like there's kind of like a passivity to it, but that passivity is in place because like it knows that like things are good, and like that I'm going to take care of things. Like,
yeah, confidence.
Right. It has that confidence, but it's confidence in certain things. Like, yeah, confidence to be solid, confidence in my relationship with the world, that like other people respect me and will like pay me, but like in a very, yeah, I guess it kind of comes down to that in a way. And that I like provide like actionable value. Yeah. It also reminds me of like not having to like market myself. I don't know how to explain this, but like this part, when I'm in this part, I can tap into the version of me that like has a solid reputation and is involved in projects and is offering things, and people know that I have XYZ background and can do certain things.
So I don't have to beg. I don't have to show off. My reputation is there, and I can trust in that.
Yeah. 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 And there's like a lot of other things going on that sometimes like just derail this part from just like holding space. Like even if I'm in this part, feels like, I guess, honestly sensitive. Like even if I'm in this space, like I'll be in this space by myself and that's fine. But then like if I'm in this space when I'm trying to interact like with other people, like it feels so sensitive to like basically negative feedback. And it does receive negative feedback in the world. And then like I'm just like, oh, whatever. I'm not going to even let this part be known because it's just not worth like managing all of the reactions to it.
Right.
Even though like the right people react in ways that I enjoy.
Right.
You know?
Right. But it still gets too much negative feedback in other places, and then it just gets shut down.
Yeah. And I give it negative feedback too. Or, yeah, like there's definitely some, maybe it's not I, but some other parts that have some opinions about this part.
Yeah. Yeah.
That it's like boring for one.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's boring. It's too focused on the getting the stuff out in the world and not enough emotional color or creativity.
Yeah, like it's boring and it's like I don't know, it's sometimes it feels like I guess I'm just unlocking a new like way of looking at parts as they relate to other people or the world. So like in this case I'm feeling like because I feel like I'm just like there's something about me or my system that's just like wired to like or maybe a part that's wired to like reject sort of like what is happening, like what is dominant culturally, and to just want to be in such resistance to whatever that is.
Yeah.
And so I think like this part is like in a lot of people, like what is really like, you know, this kind like people who are really in this energy like are pretty well resourced or like are kind of like given positive feedback in some ways. But then like yeah, I don't know. I feel like for me, I have some reason why like I view that as like boring. Like I want to get yeah, I don't know. I want positive feedback for like all my parts, I guess. And maybe there's some kind of way that I feel like I either have to choose this and be in this and be so boring, or I can just do my manic pixie dream girl shit and like get, you know, validation like in that way. But it's like I would rather have like them I would rather that they both coexist and that I'm like around people who just like don't even blink when I'm like transforming from one to the next and like it's all valid. So
that sounds
there's like
really awesome.
Yeah, I
To
feel
be
like
around
there's
people
some
that acknowledge and respect and validate all of your parts, and that you don't earn positive feedback and provide value just by being embodying that more masculine side.
Yeah. Ugh, I feel like I'm just always like in some kind of like game of resistance to like either one. And like then if people see me too much in one, then I want to like rebel and show the other, or I get negative feedback to one and that shuts one down. Like it just feels like there's always a lot of expectations of how I'll come off. And then if I don't come off that way, then like, but it's like so inconsistent depending on like who it's with, I guess. And I just get exhausted of like responding to the environment. And I think I'm realizing I can be kind of like these parts can be really responsive to the existing energy, like in a room and like how I feel about, yeah, oh, I don't know. There's something about this like phenomenon also that like I just definitely have like a big judging part like present and like yeah, I don't know if that's like my judgment or just learned judgment that just exists within me, but like the fact that I'm even like this is where I start to feel like, oh my God, I feel so crazy and like nobody walks around thinking like this, you know? Like could you just chill with all your like weird gender shit? Like just let it go, you know? And it just like yeah, like even in like even in queer community, I feel weird.
Yeah.
Like where I'm just like, oh my God, can I just like chill and have like a valid expression, and like people will just get it. Like the right people will just get it. And there's this whole like story about that in my head. And like, yeah. Now I feel really sad.
Yeah. Okay. So the judgment comes up about chill with all the weird gender shit, and then there's this feeling like I'm weird even in the queer community, and now we have the sadness, I'm guessing, as a response to that.
Yeah, I feel sad to like I feel sad at the idea that maybe like there is acceptance there and I'm just not trusting it, or like, you know, like that it's me that can't, like I've done a lot of work to put myself in contexts where I can like thrive, and these things can like kind of, that I can become my own, right? Like I've done a lot of work to be in those contexts. And then also it's like, and I still feel like this, like around, so I'm feeling a lot of grief.
Okay.
To feel misunderstood by like some of the exact people that I felt like would most understand me.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for sharing all of that.
Yeah.
I'm feeling really welcoming and connected when you speak for so many parts of you, and I'm over here nodding and saying, yeah, that all makes a lot of sense to me. And I also want to acknowledge that one that's sad and grieving about the people that it doesn't make sense to, and how much work you've done to put yourself in the right context. And to experiment, to allow these different parts to show up around people, and to receive the negative feedback in so many different contexts.
Yeah. I think it makes sense that I like landed on grief.
I think so too. I think that, absolutely. I think you named a bunch of protectors, and there's also this kind of sadness, grief, maybe exile parts that are saying, you know what, maybe it's just me. Maybe there's just something wrong with me, or I don't know, the world. And it gets, a lot to grieve about.
Yeah. I also feel sad that maybe like I didn't understand somebody else in like the same way, or like, you know, or we were trying so hard to and like didn't understand, but some of that is like the way we were like outsourcing like that validation that we needed to validate from self energy in ourselves. Yeah. And so I just feel like sad to like kind of know that intellectually, or have those lessons coming forward. And then also like the grief of like, not being able to do shit about it now.
Yeah, about the former relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm still sitting in a lot of grief around it, like all the time. And like I think, I don't know, I was like feeling really depressed for a while, like the anxiety wore off, and then I was just like really depressed. And now I feel like I'm definitely stepping out of that, and like definitely like starting to see the value in all this exploration, and like realizing I'm gonna find more meaning by living my life. Like I'm gonna understand the past better by just having new experiences. And that's also a part of like allowing myself to connect with this new person, even though I have a lot of like judgment over like that it's too soon and whatever and all these things. And then there's like another part of me that's like, no, it's not. Like this like was exactly how it was supposed to be. And like I feel so like safe and grounded, and I'm being so careful, and like it feels so intentional, and like, and I will be totally fine because I'm coming into this with way more like healthy protection. Like,
Yes.
Like it's like I'm listening to the protective parts, but I'm like still not letting them like totally dominate.
Absolutely.
And it just, but then there's like this intense grief that comes from like experiencing this with like a new person who's like so wonderful, and also like not having that opportunity to have explored this with this previous person who I thought like was this, who really was this person who I wanted this with, you know? So like, it's weird when it comes to you in a form that you didn't, it's just like very trippy.
Yeah. I get it.
And then I'm just like judging myself a lot because it's like, is this like love that I'm feeling like really about, like, is it really authentic, like to this person, or is it just this love that like I feel like with myself? And like, not that I've even like said those words or anything. It's not like that. Like it's just internal, but yeah, it's like I feel so, it's like the person that I am now can love in this way that I couldn't before. And then this grief that it's not with this like person that was so special to me for so long. And I feel these weird like there's just so many, because there's like a part of me that still feels loyal to this person from the past.
Sure.
But you know, I tried.
Right. I just want you to know I totally get what you're saying. And yeah, that feeling of I have this tool of IFS, I have this self energy I'm tapped into. I can love anybody from this place. And and also, does that mean I can't trust like, is that actually scarier? Because it's like, wait, I can love anybody. That's going to get me in trouble. And yeah, I'm hearing that also, that grief about the past stuff. You know, it's like you said, this person, I don't know what wording you used, but you know, you wanted that with them. They deserve that. And that is something to grieve about, because really we are all capable of being in self energy. We're all capable of speaking for parts. You know, in theory, everyone loves everyone, and it's just a world full of love. And so anywhere that opportunity was missed or didn't happen, yeah, we can see that as parts taken over. And it's sad. It's sad that we're capable of it, but we miss it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's also like building, like, for me, like a better understanding of like what wasn't working for me in the past, and with that person specifically, like what actually did not work for me. And like a big part of it is like just not having room to like explore all my parts, and the ways in which I was like wanting to do that like was so threatening that it just like shrunk my whole system like further. Like then everyone internally was like kind of scrambling to try to fight for, and like all these compromises internally were like happening.
Yeah. That sounds to me similar to the feeling or the grief around being in the queer community, or being or out in the world, where what parts of me can I show, and what's going to be accepted, what's going to get the positive feedback, and what's going to get negative feedback.
Yeah.
Yeah, and grief around not being able to explore all the parts with all the people.
Yeah, grief and like still judgment and like, yeah. I think there's like
judgment that you're even engaging in all of this thought
yeah,
process about it. Yeah.
yeah, like exactly, like judgment that I can't just like get it together, that it has to be this so complicated, like judgment, you know, judgment in the ways that like I think my system was just trying to protect me, but I couldn't get quite a handle on self energy all the time, right? Like it was like,
right.
you know, I was doing it a lot of the times, but in this one moment, like where there was really this, you know, intense, you know, expression from this other person, like I just couldn't keep it together. And I was like, you know, like, so I think it's just like, that's also what makes that breakup so hard, is how it feels like everything hinged on this like small moment where I like didn't have my shit together. But I also realized like I had my shit together a lot of the time, and I was really being tested a lot, and I was tired. And like, yeah, I think just like I'm building my own like path to like forgiving myself for being imperfect.
Yeah.
And that like this process of like getting to know myself and moving from the place I want to, like from my heart, like I'm not supposed to be like judgmental. I'm not supposed to be, but I don't know how to say it. Like the judgmental part thinks that it's trying to like help me like evolve and be this better person and whatever. And it's like, but it's so like, it just impacts the process so much. Like when I'm, you know, judgmental and unforgiving, and then that's where all the like layers of shame like come from. That like when I first came to ISF, I was like, shame. I want to work on shame. And you were like, whoa. That's that's kind of a lot, you know?
Sure.
Yeah. It feels like that's also like related to this like judging and the pushing and the like, you know, we fucked up. Like now we have to work so hard to, you know, improve. And yeah, I don't know. So
and to work so hard to improve, this part's saying that having all the complication of accepting all the parts and exploring all the parts, it's just, that's too complicated. It doesn't have to be that complicated. When it comes to getting it together, that means quit spending so much time in that kind of exploring or accepting or analyzing and yeah, I get it. Yeah, it doesn't have to be so complicated. You know, it's like we are that complicated. So I feel like we can either be aware of it or not. And I think that's that's what I think separates people, and separates people maybe who are speaking for their parts and into this from those who aren't, where it's like, I'm recognizing the complexity, they're not. And that creates a lot of friction.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that it's true. And maybe also just, I guess I'm thinking about like how to safely, like, yes, be in my own, because all of this is like very theoretical. It's like, okay, like I work on my parts, I, you know, improve my relationship with self, yada, yada, yada. Okay, then I'm perfectly self-led and I go out and do this thing. But the reality is that like I am interacting with people all the time and they have their own system. And then I think part of this is important to me because I recognize I'm a really sensitive person, and
Yes.
I mean that like energetically, like I'll really pick up on what's happening, and so it's like that's something that I'm trying to build, like a level of where I can be like calm enough to recognize when somebody else or some other thing is maybe not peaceful in my own complexity. Because I feel like I'm realizing I need to like surround myself with more people who can see the complexity and be at peace with it. Like we can see the layers, we can see what's happening. They can see it in themselves. Maybe they can see it in me, or if I, show that, then it's not like, they'll
have understanding around that.
Right. That there's just like a level of calm around how complex everything is and how complex we are as people. And like, yeah, this is something that I want to like offer more of to other people. And I feel like I have been on that journey to do that. But then also I have to really give that back to myself by who I choose to be around, and like recognizing when my system is like, yeah, that feels good here, or like, no, that right here is not it, or this thing is not it.
Bringing that calm, bringing that self energy to your own complexity, offering it to others, but then also being around people who can do the same for you. And recognize it in themselves.
Yeah. And like that way, I guess there's less, because I've been really afraid to like be judgmental, I think, like during this time, because I feel so judged and the judgment just feels so hurtful. That it's like I don't want to be like with every person, like, I don't know, especially like it just feels like there's a lot of I don't know, maybe it's just my age bracket or like the internet or whatever, but there's just a lot of like, people that are like, if this person doesn't serve you, like cut them out. And there's a lot of like really intense like language that like kind of doesn't, I'm like, I don't want to vibe with that. So I'm like trying to find my own way to be like discerning with people without being like, love is abundant and I can do anything and I can, like force myself to be around people where it's hard. So I guess this puts it in more of a perspective of like observing the system, observing my own system. It brings me back internally into my own experience. Because I think also I notice that my parts can get really like, that's the distracting part where I get really like, just can see like what's happening outside of myself and latch onto it. And it takes me away from like experiencing my own stuff, especially when I'm like really uncomfortable or going through pain. Like I've had a really hard time understanding like my firefighters. Like I feel like I've been like, okay, I have these managers that like push me to do certain things or have these opinions or try to keep me safe like before kind of something happens. But then it's like when I think about firefighters, like I don't drink, I don't smoke, like I am super sober. So I'm like, I don't have that. I guess I'm on my phone too much, but it's also like I get really distracted on social media or like I'll read like that kind of stuff online and I'm like, oh, and then I'll spiral, like just totally spiral, like, but also like just in general, like the outside world itself can be like, with my ADHD, I think just this place of like distraction. And then I'm also like, I can get hyper attuned into like other people's shit and like their nervous
Right.
system and be preoccupied
Right.
with what's going on with someone else
Right.
and analyze them and try to understand. And it's like the whole thing is like just keeps me from even being with like what the heck is going on internally.
Yes. Yep. I think definitely that sounds like firefighter kind of behavior. I mean, it could also be managerial in that it might prevent you from doing something else. But yeah, getting kind of wrapped up in others, analyzing their stuff, maybe judging their stuff, and yeah,
it's like this eye or something like this in like my mind's eye. It's like the eye is like facing outward, like towards other people, and like scanning the environment and looking for a threat and like trying to, but also like trying to like extend love and understanding and like that if I do that externally that I'm gonna like feel safe or something. It's like a lot of codependent stuff where it's like if someone else feels better or if I can make sure someone else is okay or understand them, then it's all good. But like it's like the work of like turning the eye inward and just being like, and what's going on here? Like regardless of like what the heck is happening around you. But it reminds me of like being like sleeping outside or something where like there's all this sound around you and it's like, oh, you're like for me it's like, oh, I'm asking myself to just like close my eyes when like I can hear some crazy noises over there, you know? So it's like it's scary and it feels like counterintuitive, you know, in my system where one of the ways I learned to keep myself safe is like figuring out what's out there and understanding all of what's out there.
Right. Yeah. Scanning the outside, and when that leads to over focusing on what's going on out there and ignoring the internal world versus, well, if I just shut that down, then I'm just being blind to possible threats, possible whatever.
Yeah.
That's part of sensitivity. Yeah,
it's scary.
And I'm in my notes here, I'm kind of connecting that all to what might be called the judgment part.
Okay. You think it's the same?
I don't know. I can see a connection, you know, the eye scanning and looking out. I don't know.
That makes me think that maybe just now that I have gone through a lot of them, it might be good to hear your notes.
Yeah, definitely. I'd like to share them. I just have one thing that part of me wants to put out there, which is, you know, all parts are welcome. And I think that if we have a part called the judgment part, judgment really gets a bad rap. You know, it's like bad to judge. And I don't think so. You know, like judging is okay. Evaluating is okay. Like being discerning is okay. Having this person has good judgment. So if that part is present with us and wants to be known more, I just want it to know that I want to be welcoming of it and understanding of all the positive qualities it has.
Thank you. That is a helpful reminder.
Yeah. All right. Well, I am at 2 pages of notes, but I'll review the second page since that's all right. But I could go through all of them. Yeah.
Maybe it's even like themes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, more recently, you were talking about what wasn't working in the past relationship being not being able to explore all the parts. I made the connection to how that might also show up in any relationship, is how much of my parts are welcome. You started talking about the judgment part, and it's saying just get it together, evolve, be better, and things don't have to be so complicated. And it sounded like it might also have to do with this one where it's like all of this stuff hinged on a small moment. You know, we fucked up. So we need to work so hard to like fix that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you said, but I'm not supposed to be judgmental. And then we got into shame, and it sounded like the judgment, or perhaps the judgment of the judgment, is coming from or leading to shame, which, as you pointed out, you're able to recognize even from our first conversations. Which, yeah, I think all of this says a lot about your sensitivity and your perception of parts. You were talking about being okay. Maybe you do all this IFS and you become perfectly self-led, but you're still in this world with other people's systems, and you have a sensitivity to others. And what do we do with that sensitivity? You can recognize when things aren't peaceful inside of you, and maybe you can have that calm around the complexity in you. Maybe you can share it with others. But yeah, I think a lot of what we talked about after that is when you are looking out for others and what degree of sensitivity is a good thing, and is having your eyes open and looking out, and what degree is too much, is too judgmental, or is too focused on or latching onto, or maybe firefighter behaviors of over analyzing others, over getting wrapped up in their stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, it sounds like a polarity, a battle of, should I close my eyes, or should I, how do I be aware, be sensitive without being hurt? How do I have boundaries without the negative side of what judgment might mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It brings also like, hearing that, it brings a lot of like compassion for myself. I think I can see, I can sort of see maybe in a weird way, like a big similarity in this between like my ex and I. So it's kind of interesting to feel like just kind of relating to them, especially around this like degree of sensitivity and being really sensitive, and that being like a way we really connected, and around neurodivergence and this sort of really like kind of vulnerable quality, that not everyone has.
Absolutely.
And
it's a blessing and a curse for sure.
Right. And then, the balance between having those boundaries is really hard, and having compassion for the intensity of the boundary, I guess, that they put up, because they have no idea how to do this in like a nuanced way and with subtlety and
right.
And
and it feels like a missed opportunity, because here's someone who did have that capacity, a similar sensitivity and perception, but we weren't able to communicate and bring the right
it actually does feel
around it.
It does feel very like we actually, like, instead of saying like, oh, I was able to do this and they weren't. I mean, it's really more like together in the dynamic.
Right.
We were not both able to do this, in all the moments that we needed to, or just overall. And that feels nice to. Yeah, I think just when you end on such intensely negative feelings with someone, and like, I just think I've worked so hard to like, release a lot of the self-blame, which I'm still working on, but I just felt really in the crossfire of just like a lot of negative feedback and anger and judgment, to be honest, and like just super misunderstood, and also just like that feeling of like someone not trusting you, like just being like so painful. And so I think something I really like so deeply wanted for us was that if we were to part ways, there would be some understanding. And I think all I can do now is kind of do that on my own. And like phrasing it like that is nice to like, be like, instead of a blame game, to really shift it into, it allows like a piece of the love to like continue, because I think something that like my parts have really been calling for, and we're really just, I think there was so much grief coming up around, other people's messages to like let go or to move on. And I felt like, what do you mean? Like, I can't. I just felt like I can't do that. Right. And there's actually like a way of like bringing the love forward that like is allowing me to move on peacefully. Like where I can be like, yeah, I do really love them. And like, I can see that we did our best. And like, it is really sad, but there's not one person at fault. It's just like, it is really sad, I think, for something to not go well, and for the grief and the loss to still be there. But even if they weren't able to release me with the same energy, like that I have to differentiate and have a different experience and write a different story. And it's like, that's all that I can be in control of, is my own, like, so it just, it fits in line with like my process. It's been sticky and hard, but I just like keep making these like kind of like acts to myself where I'm like, we're not gonna let like the love go though, because like we don't have to. And just feeling really stubborn about that, because I've approached other breakups with a lot of anger, and just to get through to the other side, just to create another life. And then then you start to like learn them and understand what happened and be whatever, like years later. But this one, I'm like, no, right now. Like, I don't want to be angry at this person. Like there's so anyway, but
it's really beautiful.
Thank you for reflecting back some parts that I was spinning it all out, but I wasn't quite sure some of the themes. So that was nice to get that reflection. I feel tired now.
Okay.
Kind of sleepy.
Great work exploring your parts with me. Thank you for allowing me into that space and trusting me with that.
Thank you also. I also am trying to like let go that of these sessions like looking like any certain way. And I think that's giving me right now a different benefit.
Well, you're speaking for your parts, and we have a relationship where you can explore all the parts. That's what I'm trying to design with people. So if that's something that your system is looking for, and I think all of ours kind of are, then that should be a good thing. It should be a thing that doesn't require an agenda, and is therapeutic, right? Is useful, even if we don't have all the metrics and conclusions and
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
And it's helpful for me too. So you doing that helps me do that in myself and helps me see that in others. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you. Send you the call and talk to you in a couple weeks.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Good night.
Okay. Bye.
Do you want to help bring more self-energy to the world? If you'd like to participate in calls or help out with this project in any way, I'd love to hear your ideas. Join the Discord server or contact me at james@liveifs.com. A huge thanks to our audio engineer, Yvonne, for your care and diligence in editing the calls. To every caller for your courage in sharing some of your parts. And to anyone out there getting to know their internal system, keep going. Who knows? That might be the most selfless, helpful thing you can do for others, and you're the only one who can do it. If you'd like to see us reach the largest audience, we must please the almighty suggestion algorithms at iTunes and YouTube. And they don't care about the power of IFS. They're looking for likes and shares and comments, and the sooner the better. Follow the links in the show notes right here in your podcast player to make your wishes known. And now, a minute of meditation. Or if you prefer, pull over. You can do it in 60 seconds. Just click one of those links. They're right there, and give us a like or a 5-star rating. It would really help. If you think this project is helping people, you're helping people by sharing it. Thank you.